I'm going to bring our new chancellor up in just a moment. I also want to acknowledge a couple of the other campus leaders who are here with us today. We have Steve Sutton, who's the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. And my new boss, I'm just delighted, Vice Chancellor of Equity and Inclusion, Oscar DeBon. And there are many other people here who are also on the management team, but those are the two that I recognize right away. And so for the others of you who are here, thank you for being here. It means a lot to the staff to have a day like this. And I just want to say a few words about Chancellor Carol Christ. She became our 11th chancellor on July 1st. And she's making history in UC Berkeley chancellor list as the first woman. So we'll have a woman on the wall in the conference room. Well, that's really cool. I was going to say give her a round of applause, and you beat me to it. Thank you, Carol, for agreeing to be our morning keynote speaker today. And we're really pleased that you said yes way back in March before other things started happening. So her full bio is on page 4 of the program. Lauded for her knowledge of UC Berkeley, having been the EVCP just prior to becoming chancellor and in her previous life on campus. Not to mention serving as president of Smith College, Chancellor Christ brings an informed and decisive leadership style to her appointment as chancellor. We're so pleased to have her bring her words of encouragement and support to the NOW conference. So please welcome Chancellor Carol Christ.
Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you here today. I first want to thank you for everything you do for Berkeley. I feel so grateful and proud of the extraordinary staff at Berkeley. Every word Sujay said is right. You help us on each of our missions, teaching, research, and public service. And you were so important in the trust that we have to give the best that is in us to our students. So thank you for everything that you do. I hope that when I walk around campus, you stop me and introduce yourselves. I'm really interested in getting to know you. Invite me to your workplaces. One of the things, as I'll be saying in just a moment, that I think is really important for all of us to do together is to begin to rebuild our community. So also thank you for investing in your own career development. My career ladder, for the most part, except for the 11 years I spent on the East Coast, was at Berkeley. And I really look forward to that as being a characteristic of the structure of employment here at Berkeley. In the past several weeks, I've been thinking a lot about journeys. How many of you have driven across the country? Yeah, a lot of you. It's a really powerful experience driving across the country. The first time I did is when I came here to take up my faculty position as a professor of English. I was a young, very freshly minted PhD. I had just turned in my dissertation the week before. I drove across the country with a friend. It was the first time I had been west of the Mississippi. Indeed, it was the first time I'd been west of Philadelphia. In those first few months of teaching here, I fell in love with Berkeley. First, I love the students. Everyone, those of you who work with students know this. How many of you were Berkeley alums, by the way? Oh, a lot, yeah. Everyone has a different story of their journey to Berkeley, of how they came here. The students were diverse in their life experiences and aspirations. They were smart, they were quirky, and they had a sense of wonder and curiosity. I fell in love with the intellectual excitement of Berkeley. No matter what the subject, there is some faculty member who not only knows about it, but is really expanding our knowledge about it. And I love the fact that Berkeley felt then and still feels like a place where history is happening. Political history, scientific history, intellectual history. Berkeley is a place that matters. Some people say it matters more than any university in the world. Of course, there are lots of kinds of journeys. There are physical journeys, like that first drive across the country I took, but there are journeys through time as well. The distance from my house to campus is less than a mile. The distance from the provost's office to the chancellor's is less than 50 feet. But the experiential journey, the internal journey to becoming chancellor feels much more substantial. Berkeley has made me who I am. It's shaped me intellectually, and it's made me into the leader that I am. What I want to do this morning is share my vision for the campus. I said before that Berkeley's the most significant university in the world. Let me explain. We have two lodestars, excellence and access. Berkeley is as much about the transfer student from Fremont or Hayward or Arcata, whose parents have never been to college, as it is about its Nobel Prize winners. It's that combination that defines us. We have more students on Pell Grants than all the Ivy League combined. And as Sujay said, we score #1 among all American universities in upward mobility as measured by moving in your income from the bottom 5th to the top 1%. Berkeley's about to celebrate its 150th anniversary next year, 2018. It was the first university in the United States to face west across the Pacific. And it's always had the pioneering spirit of those who pushed to the country's western edge. It looks out, as you all know, on the Golden Gate. I wish I had a crystal ball that would show me what would happen in the next 150 years, but let me tell you, in my term as chancellor, what I hope to achieve. I have 5 goals. The first is building community. The past several years have been hard ones for the campus. We faced financial challenges, indeed we still face financial challenges, a leadership crisis, highly public sexual harassment cases that have embarrassed and appalled us, violence around the issue of free speech. These have taken their toll on the community in a lack of trust and flagging morale. We need to rebuild our sense of community, which is a challenge in a place that is as urban and as large and as diffuse as Berkeley. In part, it's a matter of tone and shoe leather. In part, it's by creating both public events and occasions in smaller communities in which we can feel together, this is our Berkeley. I intend to spend more time with the city of Berkeley and with the state government in Sacramento. They're our most important partners. And in building community, we have to make sure that it's inclusive, that every group feels welcomed and valued. My second goal is enhancing the undergraduate experience. Too often, Berkeley feels like a place students survive. We want every student to thrive at Berkeley, to have the best opportunity for the education to which he or she aspires. We offer lots of the things at Berkeley, the high-impact experiences that are the kind of stock and trade of teaching-focused institutions like Smith. But they're often unsystematic and uncoordinated. It's really left to the enterprising student to figure out what they are and where they are. We want every student, I want every student to have the benefit of attending a leading research university not just through the prestige of that diploma, which they could hang on their wall, but through participating in research, in those discovery experiences that are the center of what we do as a university. I want more of our students to study abroad, more to do internships. Critical to our enhancing the undergraduate experience is expanding student housing. We house the lowest percentage of our undergraduates by far than any other undergraduate UC campus, only 22%. And we house only 9% of our graduate students. In a housing market that is as expensive and as impacted as the Bay Area, this is a huge challenge for our students. I increasingly meet students who are homeless, students who don't have enough money for food because their rent costs so much. Too often, students live in housing that's too crowded, too expensive, too far away. They're distracted from their studies by basic needs. We need to change this situation. Because the campus doesn't own a lot of unoccupied land, and because some potential development sites are politically fraught, just think People's Park, we need to create partnerships with the private sector to increase our housing capacity. My third goal is enabling faculty to do the most critical research for the public good. We have faculty that are working on every problem fundamental to humankind and to the planet. Advances in medical technology, understanding how the human mind works, energy infrastructure, wealth inequality, designing new kinds of cities, climate change, the list goes on and on. This research is one of the most profound and significant public benefits that the University of California offers. We need to create the conditions that enable faculty to do their best work and also make the collective investments in the areas with the greatest impact. My fourth goal is making major progress on diversity. In each of our campus populations, those students, undergraduate students, graduate students, staff, and faculty, we can and should be more diverse. You can't just say, we believe in diversity and we hope it's going to happen by itself. You have to be really focused and strategic. I'm so glad Oscar is going to be my partner in this work. And demographics are only one dimension of the challenge. They will matter less if we can't build a greater understanding in our community of diversity and a more inclusive climate. My final goal is developing a new financial model for the campus. And this is much more than eliminating the deficit, although we are making really excellent progress on that front. Let me tell you about that progress, and let me tell you a little bit about the road ahead. We ended fiscal year 2016, that's shortly after I started as the interim provost, with a deficit of $150 million. That's a structural deficit. It repeats every year. We will end 2018 with a deficit of $56 million. So that's down almost $100 million in 2 years. I don't want to minimize the hard choices and the real sacrifices that have gone into this reduction. It's been painful. But the good news is that we're turning the corner. My goal all along has been to address our financial challenges through increasing and diversifying revenue sources. I'm proud to say that over half of the fiscal year 18 reductions have been met through revenue enhancements. Indeed, among the schools and colleges, all but 3 met their goals with revenue enhancements. They fall into 6 categories. Let me just name them very quickly here. One is non-degree enrollment, think university extension and summer session. Second is self-supporting degree programs. The third is monetizing our real estate. The fourth is entrepreneurial activity, patents, creating incubators for venture capital. The fifth is increasing contract and grant activity. And the sixth is, of course, philanthropy. That's what I mean by developing a new financial model. There's a wonderful sentence that I heard in a speech last summer that I like to quote. You can't cut your way to heaven, but you can spend your way to hell. We now need to increase and diversify our revenue sources while never losing the centrality of our public mission. Finally, there will be two issues that I'll be addressing this year that I haven't chosen, but that are on my plate nonetheless: the deficit in intercollegiate athletics and the controversy over free speech. Many of you know that athletics has had a significant deficit for decades. Indeed, when I was provost in the 1990s, athletics had a deficit. I think it's corrosive for any department to operate for long periods of years with a deficit. It doesn't build a culture of fiscal responsibility. We will be making some difficult choices as we develop a sustainable financial model in athletics. And now free speech. Berkeley, as you know, is the home of the free speech movement, a movement that I've been thinking a lot about lately in a way that brings me back to ideas about community. When I first went to Smith, I was surprised at how many private spaces there were in the college for members of the community to have deeply engaged and meaningful conversations about issues in which there was a lot of disagreement. This mostly was in the residential life system, but there were also lots of other opportunities on campus. That gave me but there were no public spaces at Smith to have those conversations. There's no Sproul Plaza at Smith. And that gave me a really interesting perspective on Berkeley, because Berkeley has these public spaces. It's got Sproul Plaza. The megaphone on Sproul Plaza has become a kind of icon of free speech. But it doesn't have very many of those private spaces, those places where people of different points of view can come together in the community and think about issues on which we, in good conscience, with integrity, disagree. I was talking a little bit with Steve and Oscar right before the program began, and Oscar I thought wonderful, what I hope is going to be one of our slogans, which is the way to answer the hate speech is with more speech. We have to stand for more speech and to have those sometimes challenging conversations as a community, including conversations about free speech, that are really, really critical. So I'm going to be making next year a free speech year. We're going to begin by thinking about our history in regard to free speech and the laws and policies that govern its protections. We're going to try to model debate between people with very different points of view on matters of public importance. Events, of course, are not entirely under our control, and we labor under the misfortune that outside groups see Berkeley as their ideal stage for their issues. But we need to take back the narrative and provide events in which the community can come together. The theme of your conference is Bring Your Best Self. That very much connects to what I've been saying about community. Work is a collective enterprise. It's doing things together. I've always told my kids when they were growing up how important it was to find work that fulfilled them and gave them pleasure. You spend more time working than anything else in your life but sleeping. For all of us, the satisfaction of work comes from engagement with an organization, an institution, an activity in which you believe. It comes from the sense of achievement and a job well done, and it comes from the sense of community. I look forward to working with all of you in the months and years ahead, and again, Thank you for everything that you do for Berkeley. Thank you.